Russell Phillips was a NASCAR Sportsman division driver who raced from the early to mid-90s. Right from the get-go, he was a die-hard racing fan who wanted to live his dream. Being the youngest of four, Phillips learned the value of hard work, as he worked in the family trucking business as a lead detailer, but also had a generous side, serving not only as a volunteer firefighter, but also as a youth minister. Fortunately, through the help of his family's business, he was able to fund his racing career, where he began racing local short tracks in the 80s. By 1990, Phillips had obtained a NASCAR license and moved up to the NASCAR Sportsman division, which just started in 1989. Founded by former Charlotte Motor Speedway president Humpy Wheeler in 1989, it was supposed to be a division that gave short track drivers super speedway experience. The most notable drivers to come out of the series were Todd Bodine, Ward Burton, Jack Sprague, Dennis Sensor, and Jason Keller. So while it helped propel some future NASCAR drivers to success, other times, it was absolutely dangerous. Nearly a year into the series' existence, David Gaines tragically passed away in a practice crash after his car was struck from behind. In 1991, Philip Ross survived an insane crash coming off of turn 4 when his car backed into the wall and bursted into flames. And in 1992, you had yet another tragedy involving Gary Batson, where 80% of his body was brutally burned and later succumbed to his injuries. Already 3 seasons into this series' existence and 2 drivers were tragically killed. It wasn't because the drivers had absolutely no talent, they just had no experience on super speedways. The idea of trying to get short track drivers some more super speedway experience so maybe one of them could progress to become a NASCAR star sounds like a good idea on paper, but when the actual racing began, it was an absolute bloodbath. The only time the NASCAR Sportsman division made headlines was for some of their insane wrecks. NASCAR became more hands-on with the series in 1992, trying to revamp it.
There's accidents in any kind of racing. There's fires in any kind of racing, not just Sportsman, but Winston Cup, any division. And, that's just part of it. That's, the safety equipment is out there. It's available for all the drivers. And in my opinion, I've tried to be as safe as I possibly can in a race car, by all means, because, you can, expect the unexpected.
This was the series Russell Phillips would race in for 5 seasons, making a total of 15 starts. Being from Mint Hill, which is basically a suburb of Charlotte, the Charlotte Motor Speedway was like the holy grail to Russell Phillips. Being able to race stock cars around the 1.5-mile track was a dream come true. In the first 5 seasons in the Sportsman series, he was for the most part a mid-pack driver who barely got any attention from the media. To help fund his independently owned team, he not only had help from the family business, but also companies such as Mills Well Drilling and Hendrick's Office Machines. While considered a mid-pack driver for most of his career, he would occasionally run inside the top 5. He would have these good runs from time to time, but unfortunately, he just wasn't able to finish them.
White car sitting right here. 51 car. He's wanting to go. 57.
Oh, Jerry Richter's number 81 in the wall. Jerry Richter in the 81 getting snarled, and again we've got a 4-car tangle coming out of turn number 4. Another car loose flying through the grass here, and yellow is on the track at lap 19. Another hard hit, and it's among those leaders. Russell Phillips, the 57, you see his car crunched against the wall.
By 1995, the narrative on Russell Phillips began to change a little bit. He was putting together some solid top 5 runs more than usual. The spring race at Charlotte was his best performance, starting in, at the time, a career best 3rd place and running inside the top 5 for most of the race. Even though he was running up there more often, he still couldn't close the deal. But since they showed a lot of progress in not only qualifying but in race pace as well, the next time they went to Charlotte, he was definitely going to be ready to seize his opportunity. At first, it was looking promising, scoring his first career Sportsman division pole. Phillips and the team were on cloud 9 as they finally showed their true potential. But little did anyone know that on October 6, 1995, tragedy would strike. On lap 17 of the Winston 100, Phillips was running in 10th place when coming out of turn 4, a two-car spin occurred right in front of him. The black car of Stephen Howard would take evasive action directly in each other's paths. Howard's car forced Phillips onto its right side, then smashed its roof first into the retaining wall. Phillips was decapitated by a caution light and savagely dismembered by the catch fence itself. One photographer on scene that day described it as gruesome as a wreck as he could recall. The first rescuer can be seen running to the car, then immediately turning away upon realizing that there was no chance of resuscitation. The crash caused a 35-minute cleanup, a task carried out with surgical gloves. It was reported that Russell Phillips' right hand was found in the catch fence where the caution light had been, and also his helmet was found on the entrance of pit lane with his head still in it. Despite the severity of this tragedy, the race went on after the cleanup, but the series was done. 3 deaths in 6 seasons led to Humpy Wheeler dropping the Sportsman series entirely. It's understandable when you look at the history of the series, but why he elected to have the race continue after Phillips had passed away, I have no clue. The Phillips tragedy led to debates on roll cage practices, which was amplified even further after Dale Earnhardt's horrible Talladega crash in 1996. After this wreck, NASCAR added a roof support bar running down the middle of the windshield, which was designed to prevent fatal roof collapses in roof-first accidents. This would be famously referred to as the Earnhardt bar. But in my opinion, you can also call it the Phillips bar. This bar is without a doubt Russell Phillips' biggest legacy in all of racing. An accident so gruesome that it eventually led to safer roll cage practices. More than 25 years later, his crash is still analyzed by NASCAR fans today. More than 25 years later, how do we remember Russell Phillips? Like I said, he really didn't have too many notable moments in his racing career, but by all accounts, the people that knew him referred to him as a gentle giant with a heart of gold, someone who helped try to make children's lives better as well as trying to help his own community, and most importantly, a loving husband, brother, and son. If you ever come across his fatal crash video, please show him some dignity and remember the man behind the tragedy. Russell Phillips was 29. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.